Everybody, welcome to the first episode of the Final Whistle, where we decide who's pretender or contender. Starting off, my name is Rachelle.
My
I'm
name's
Trevor.
Janoah.
I'm Trevor Hansen.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Gerardo.
And today we're going to talk about multiple things. Why Robert Salah probably got fired from the Jets over. Also, going to talk about who might be going to Super Bowl, who is the best MVP, all the good stuff. And to start off, I'm going to ask the first question. So, Janoah, what do you believe was the reason that Robert Saleh was fired from the Jets?
I think that, Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers' relationship, it started off rocky, and I think that they were never kind of able to connect and kind of build a relationship, and there was never trust in there, and I think that the offense kind of grew dry and everything. So I think that Aaron Rodgers kind of made the call to have him, fired.
Yeah, that's an interesting little way of thinking about it. But I think it stems back from even prior to Aaron Rodgers getting there. I mean, you could see the success of their offense was terrible. They never had a great offense. They had some great defensive play his first 2 years there, and then this year it's been struggling a bit. But yeah, he couldn't get the offensive side of the ball, and they were just tired of it.
I personally saw that Robert Salah just did not have that leadership to guide the Jets to even, make it to the playoffs. Just the way, he would communicate with Aaron Rodgers, the star player, he couldn't even get a hold of his attention at all. And, if you can't get attention of your star player, the other team, the other players in the Jets see that, and we'll probably do the same thing. So just lack of leadership.
Yeah, and we saw that in one of the last games before he got fired. You could see him and Aaron Rodgers. He went and Robert Saleh went in for a hug, and Aaron Rodgers pretty much rejected it. So that was a pretty bad look.
Yeah, that was a crazy clip. That was a crazy clip.
What was that again?
That was on. I think it was either Thursday or Monday night. It was prime time.
It was a while back.
Yeah, it was like week 2 or something. But still, it was pretty crazy to see.
And they try to hide that too. They try to say that it was just a regular. They do that all the time, but
yeah, it happens sometimes. But do you guys believe that defensive coaches shouldn't be head coaches, and why? Tim, go ahead with that one.
I mean, yeah, I believe that they all have their place. Like D'Amico Ryans with the Texans, he's doing a good job. But also, you got to hire a good offensive mind to help that quarterback, because usually the teams that they're going on have really high draft picks, and they have young quarterbacks they got to groom. So it'll be harder for them to understand it, while an offensive head coach or someone else can help them more on the offensive side while they.
If you think about it, it can work, but defensive coaches will probably lack at something. The team will need all around coaches, and the defense coach can pick up something that the head coach can't, and the head coach or defensive head coach will pick up something that the defense can't. So it all depends on what the team needs and to help them to be successful.
I agree with that. It's really tough because they say that defense wins championships in the NFL, and I mean that's the toughest part is that you need that defensive presence. I understand the big shift over the last decade in football has been offense heavy, and you can see that across the league. I mean it's astonishing, but I mean I don't know if I'm quite ready yet to say defensive coaches shouldn't be head coaches completely, because there's always those one or two, they stand out. But if you don't allow that to happen, then you won't be able to see if maybe that's the thing. It's just, I feel like the hardest part is to run both sides effectively, because you don't want to have too much power in the defense and then being okay, because I'm the head coach, let me get involved in the offense. And so then you don't allow the offensive coaches to do their job, really. So, I mean, I feel like that's the hardest issue, is that power struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that defensive coaches still, could definitely be successful. The greatest like dynasty in the NFL was the Patriots, and that was led by Bill Belichick, who was a
Exactly.
defensive-minded head coach. You just need the right offense. Obviously, you got to get the right quarterback, like a Tom Brady, a Patrick Mahomes, and as well as an offensive coordinator that knows how to be creative and be able to trick opposing defenses, so that way you can rely on yourself coaching a defense. So definitely, you need an offensive-minded coordinator and an elite quarterback.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah, and I just feel that defensive coaches have been struggling more like recently over these past couple of decades because like many people say, the game has grown softer, and there has been a lot of rules that have gone in favor to help the offense. So that's just kind of hindered a little bit of the defensive side of coaching. So
Okay. With continuing with that, Gerardo, who do you think as of right now through the season, who are the top 5 in your eyes as being the MVP candidate for this year? Because there's a ton of flashiness out there in the NFL this season.
You cannot ignore the Baltimore Ravens right now. What Derrick Henry is doing is just incredible, man. Like rushing yards, he's getting rushed, like he's getting crazy numbers out here. I think he got like 81 rushing yards this weekend against the Bucks.
He's on
Wow.
pace. He's on pace to break the record right now for this season.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So that's definitely like one of like my top MVP prospects. What about you, Tim? Who do you
I'd say
think is up there?
the quarterback of the same team, man. Lamar Jackson. He's playing even better than he did last season.
Back to back.
Yeah, man. He won that MVP last year. He's playing better this year, and that team, ever since they got after those 2 first losses, they've turned it all around. They look like unbeatable right now. What about you, Trevor? Who else do you think is up there?
I would have to say right now, it's tough because there's some flashiness all across the league. But I mean, because Josh Allen this year could really do it for me. Because the problem is he doesn't have that star weapon. I mean, now he has Amari Cooper, so now he has some more deep. He's got that. So I mean, but that offense is completely around him, and now it's just him. But the hard part, like you said, Lamar Jackson, is look what they're doing. They're destroying the league. They're like almost averaging like 200 yards a game on the ground, which is like, if you can't stop, and then he just picks you apart over the top. So it's just, I don't know. It will see. I feel like there's still a lot of seasons to go. So we'll see if some of these guys are even healthy, like Derrick Henry, Lamar. They have some injury problems. So that's the problem with that. But with Josh, same with Josh. But it will be interesting to see. But right now, I would have to say Josh Allen is probably the one I would go with. How about you, Janoah?
Yeah, I want to say Lamar Jackson, but second, right behind him is definitely Derrick Henry. So I would say a Baltimore Raven might be running away, taking the MVP trophy home this year. I want to show some love to my guy C.J. Stroud from my favorite team, the Texans. But I don't want to be too biased, but I'm definitely saying that unfortunately, hopefully the Texans get the Super Bowl trophy, and let the Ravens take home the MVP. And I'm going to give it to Lamar, but Derrick Henry isn't far off.
How about you, Rachelle?
Well, my opinion, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm always going to have faith that my team's going to make it to the Super Bowl again one day. But but I don't know. I had a close eye on Patrick Mahomes last year, and I think the Chiefs are really doing pretty good for themselves, and especially with consecutive Super Bowl wins. So, I mean, what y'all think? Do y'all think the Chiefs have a chance or a shot again this year?
I mean, I feel like they're gonna make it. They always find a way to make it. It's just they're Mr. Reliable. Because if you look at his numbers right now, they aren't even like they're not starstruck. They're not like, oh, that's Pat Mahomes. Because normally in the past of almost every single year in his career, he's had crazy numbers in September and then going into October. And this year it wasn't that case. But they just kept their defense somehow, even with letting go of all their pieces, trading away, they're able to stop them. So I think that they will be there. I don't know if Mahomes is going to have the star- strucking numbers, though, to be able to get MVP, though. So, but we'll see, you know. And I feel like also the NFL is kind of tired. They're oversaturated. The fans want to see something new, you know. It's like, that's why I'm not so sure. Like, Lamar's great right now, but I don't know if they want it back-to-back. He would have to do crazy stats, which he's on pace to do. So that's the hard part. But we'll see. But as that is, who do you, as of right now, we know, you know, we're not even really halfway through the season yet, but who do y'all have as the top 5 teams coming out of the ANFC? I'll send that one to Tim.
I said top 5 right now, AFC?
NFC.
NFC? Okay.
Yeah.
So Lions for sure.
Okay.
They're going crazy this year. Let's say Packers, another one to look out for. Dangerous offense. In third, I'd say, who else is up there? I'd say a sleeper pick would be the Commanders.
Bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About them, man. They're dangerous this year. And I don't know. Outside of those 3, I can't recall off the top of my head right now. But what about you, Janoah? Who else do you think is up there?
I mean, you know, Minnesota started really hot, and then now they've kind of lost 2 straight. But a team that's like real deep sleeper, the Rams, you know, they just got back Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and I think that offense is very dangerous now that they could take off. So, you know, the Rams is like a dark horse kind of team. You know, you can't count out like Chicago because they have a really good defense. I know they have a young quarterback. I know you mentioned Washington. You know, the 49ers probably won't be in that conversation no more just because they have, you know, Ayuk out. So I would say, you know, the top 5, you can say Detroit, Green Bay, maybe Washington, Philadelphia, you can't rule out yet, and, you know, maybe like Chicago or man, there's still time for the 49ers to kind of make a comeback, but definitely those are the teams that are up there in the NFC.
Yeah. They just got to win this week, or if they lose this week, it's in trouble.
Yeah.
So I see this kind of like, you know, we're kind of going, you know, choosing our NFC. I don't know if we're going to go over to the AFC. But you know what? I'll spit out some AFC. So my top 5, got to rep my boys from Houston. You know, we lost the Packers. But besides that, like, you know, we're still pretty, you know, title contending team, considering that like every single game that we played has, you know, we've showed, you know, what our worth is. And then Baltimore Ravens, they've just been too good, you know. Back to what we were talking about earlier, about how Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are MVP candidates for sure. Averaging like 7 yards per play, which is amazing. Now we have Kansas City Chiefs, you know, 6-0, undefeated. You can't count them out. You just can't. Nothing much more to be said. And then we got the Buffalo Bills, you know, Josh Allen, just playing some great offense. Then we have, I'm gonna go with the sleeper, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals are gonna start cooking. You can cook me all you want, but I think something is gonna start going on.
Yeah,
I don't.
Step up, bro. That's it.
I don't know about the Bengals, man. I don't know. I don't want to be biased. I'm a Browns fan, but hey, I don't know about the Bengals. I don't know if I can trust them. But I would say right now in the AFC, the top 5 teams, I think I would put Kansas City right now at 1, just because they're consistent. They've been consistent, like I touched on earlier. They just are finding a new way, and then he just got another weapon. It's just like they always find something. They got D-Hop now. So it's every
Wow.
time they have a problem. They lost Rice, and now they're getting D-Hop, and it's like, when does this end? We don't. It's the same carousel, but I got to keep them at 1, and then at 2, I would have to put Baltimore because it's just like what we touched on. They're just too consistent right now. They don't really seem like they have many holes. It seems like the only way they lose is if Lamar is the problem, because their defense is solid, but if he has turnovers or makes bad decisions, then that's the only thing, the hole for that team. For 3, I would have to say right now, even though I would have to give it to Houston, even though Houston's had some issues with holding on to leads or being in tight games to the very end. But I mean, they still have a lot of season. I like the way the team is put together. They just picked up Devin White as well this past week. We'll see how he comes off. I know he's a little bit older and he's had some issues, but we'll see what happens with Houston. It'll be interesting to see throughout the season. I mean, I really like CJ, and that offense is stacked. So if that defense can hold together and come up big, because D'Amico Ryans is their leader, we'll see what happens there. And then for 4, I would have to go with Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen is carrying that team right now. His division is also not that great this year, so it makes it a little bit easier. But I mean, it's still divisional games, but I think Buffalo finds a way. They've been finding a way the past couple seasons, and I think they'll continue that momentum. And then for 5, I would have to put in a little dark horse. Not really, because they're always consistent. I'd have to put Pittsburgh. As much as I hate Pittsburgh, but they, for some reason, when they put Russell back there, they just took off. I mean, I can't. They played really well. I mean, I think he had over 200 plus yards his first game there, and they're out here. That's the most that they've had in years. So it's if they can get that offense going with that defense Pittsburgh has, I don't know who can stop that team. And that's the hard part, is they're so well put together on the defensive side of the ball. We'll see. But those are my top 5s for this season, for the AFC so far. But who do you think out of the AFC, since we just finished up topping off the top 5, who do you think at the end of the season would be the person representing the AFC in the Super Bowl? Go ahead, Janoah.
I'm gonna just keep it basic. I'm gonna say the Chiefs. I mean, their defense gets like clutch stops, like in critical situations. I mean, they just know how to stop opposing offenses. And when Patrick Mahomes really needs to turn it on and get scoring drives, putting scoring drives together, he's always clicking. And his offense is always going to be when they need it the most. I think this year he's kind of like stepped back and let the defense do their thing, and he's just there, kind of playing game manager. I think like once the playoffs start, they're going to have home field advantage. They'll have the bye, so I got to go with Kansas City here.
Not a bad choice. How about you, Gerardo?
Okay, well, I gotta be different over here because, Janoah did steal my pick. I will say that. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens, man. They're hungry. They've been to playoffs and they've gone deep too many times. And now with the acquisition of Derrick Henry, they're just more hungry than ever to, make it to that Super Bowl.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, I don't know, that defense, man. They find. That offense in the postseason, that's like his kryptonite. He plays so well. But we'll see. How about you, Tim?
So, I want to say the Texans, bro, but I don't want to seem too biased. But we look good, dangerous. Joe Mixon's running that thing crazy. Wait till Nico Collins come back. But really, it's just inconsistent offensive line is the biggest problem we have this year. Pre-snap penalties, just holding up in the pocket. CJ got sacked a lot during that Packers game, and we got to fix that if they want to get in order to make it to the Super Bowl. But the way the team is put together is really well balanced, so I feel like they got a chance. And speaking of that, well, what about you, Rachelle? Do you have the Super Bowl predictions for this year for the AFC or NFC?
Like I said before, I feel like the Cowboys can possibly, if they push hard. I mean, they were off to a great start, but not to betray them. But I feel like Kansas City Chiefs might as well. They might have a chance of going to the Super Bowl this year if Mahomes be playing the way he's been playing. Um, I feel like they will be able to make it back to that top spot.
I mean, for me, inside the league right now, if I would have to choose one out of the AFC, I think this year, I know I've been kind of a big guy on this already, but Buffalo. I think Buffalo could do it this year, low key.
Buffalo.
I think he could. Josh Allen can finally find it in him to play well in the postseason. I mean, he's had some great numbers, but the people around him have always puttered. But I think for some reason, if they're able to host games in Buffalo, if they can get the 1 seed somehow and continue down, I feel like it's hard to play in Buffalo, especially in January. I just home field advantage at that point in the season. Same with the Chiefs. So I think whoever has home field advantage is going to be the big test to see who's going to win it. If they can win on the road, then we'll see. But that's mine. But with our final question today, how about you, Gerardo? Who do you have as your Super Bowl matchup for this year in New Orleans?
Okay. You know what? I've already backed up Baltimore too far. Like, I might as well go with them boys. Baltimore boys. Again, they're hungry for that. That because of all these years of just not making it, and seeing the Chiefs just being better and better, and just I feel like they've developed that hunger to get there, and they're definitely showing it as of right now. And from the NFC, this is the tricky part, because actually this is not a tricky part. I think the Detroit Lions will finally go to the Super Bowl. Them boys have been grinding so hard. Their coach, what's his name again? My fault.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, man. Yeah, he's just been doing a spectacular job. Offense, defense, all around. I think it's about time they go to a Super Bowl and, prove their worth. What about you, Tim?
I agree.
Super Bowl
I agree with the Lions. Dan Campbell, he flipped that whole thing around in about 3-4 years. Man, I remember ever since they traded for Jared Goff, that's what was the start of their rebuild. And this is the year they look crazy. They look unstoppable. Offense is crazy, defense is crazy, running game. And I have them, and hopefully, like I said on mine, on the AFC, it'll be the Texans finally. But I don't know. If everybody stays healthy, we have a good shot. So, what about you, Trevor? Who you got?
For me, I got, like you guys said, on the NFC side. I mean, right now, I don't see anybody else making it out of there. They're just so strong. I just can't. Detroit's gonna do it. I feel like Detroit could honestly win it all. But I know if Detroit fans are going to see this, they're going to feel like you guys are cursing us already because we're giving them the keys already. But we'll see. I think as of right now, I would have to go with Detroit in there versus the Bills. That's my matchup as of right now. How about you, Rachelle?
I think it'll be the Chiefs and the Eagles. I mean, they both have a strong defense. They have a strong offense, and I feel like that'd be an exciting matchup to see. So, that's just my opinion, but I feel like it will be them two.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'll change it up. I know I had the Chiefs going, but I don't want to be basic. I'll probably say maybe Baltimore and Detroit, or maybe another type of matchup we've never seen, like Baltimore and Green Bay or Baltimore and Philadelphia. So those are some matchups to kind of throw out there. Hopefully it's my Texans, but I'm not trying to jinx them. So probably Baltimore, Kansas City. That's on the AFC side.
Yeah, I've been trying so hard not to jinx them right now. I love my Texans, man. I really want them to go to the Super Bowl. But hey, I know Tim was gonna back them up, so I let him,
The window's open now.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes our our segue of all the questions. I thank everybody for coming and for the podcast. Trevor, Tim,
Yep,
and
appreciate it.
Janoah.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Texans, man. Like, yeah, go Texans, man.
Go Texans.